On Thursday, the deadline will arrive, one that means every homeless encampment off China Hat Road must be gone. As you know, China Hat has become synonymous with homelessness and conflict with surrounding neighborhoods. It was back in January the Forest Service first announced its plans to begin a fuel reduction project and the forced removal of the homeless, many of whom have lived there for years. Those who now have to leave and those who want them out will tell you they have finally been pushed to the limit. As one of the most visible residents of what is known today as simply China Hat, Zach Polton has been the focus of a lot of media coverage lately. His bright yellow school bus, home for several years now, and his scrapyard collection have also made him the target for nearby homeowners, law enforcement, and the Forest Service.
You get told you're trash so many times, then what's the mess I'm leaving behind? I'm trash anyway, you know?
He knows his days in this location are numbered. The Forest Service's Cabin Butte Vegetation Management Project will shut down the only access to this dusty clearing in the woods, and the message to get out is becoming more pointed with each passing day.
The Forest Servicers, heck, don't come out here to work with us. They harass us, and even though they're telling us out of here, they're pulling everybody over on the roads. As soon as you're out on the roads, they're profiling everybody comes in and out of here.
Polton has been ticketed for overstaying his welcome here more than a dozen times. Not one of those will likely ever get paid, of course. The same is true for most out here, and most out here have been violating Forest Service rules for years. The rules for dispersed camping state clearly that there is a 14-day limit at a site before you must move to another at least 300 feet away, with total camping time in the same forest limited to 60 days.
When I come out here with Shepherd's House, we bring food, propane, clothes.
Lynn Wyman spends hours out here each week, both as a Shepherd's House volunteer, but more often as a compassionate philanthropist.
They have the least power, the least control of their lives of anybody in the country.
Yeah. Why the emotion right now? What's going on in your head? I mean, there are outreach programs out the wazoo for these folks. Here you are taking it almost personally.
Shouldn't we all?
Wyman knows most of the nearly 100 campers at China Hat. He also knows moving for most by the May 1st deadline will be nearly impossible.
The Forest Service is going to close the road and is going to give $5,000 fines and jail time is what they're saying for anybody who comes in here.
They've been pushing pretty hard, making sure we all know we're not welcome. And they've got no options that they offer for suggestion other than just don't be here.
As always, the big question now for folks like Zach and the rest living out here along China Hat Road is, where do we go from here? The homeless advocates that assist these people will tell you there really is no BLM or National Forest land anywhere nearby where they can move to and set up camp, which wouldn't be an issue anyway if the National Forest Service just enforced its own rules. But in the meantime, for those who cannot or refuse to stay in a shelter or cannot get some kind of transitional housing, there may be only one other option.
Well, I know there's a couple China Hat people already out here.
It's like the South Siders coming together with the North Siders, because
Well, I'll just have to get along. I mean,
how do you determine the open spots?
you just find one.
Okay,
I mean, I tell you.
and make your own road.
Juniper Ridge, an area cleared by the county for homeless encampments, is about to get more crowded. Today, Lynn Wyman is spending his own personal time making introductions and showing China Hat refugees what life could look like in one of Deschutes County's other homeless hotspots. This is not a first refugee rodeo for Michelle Hester. Her move to Juniper Ridge followed years of life along Hunnell Road.
There's mostly plenty of us that are nice, and I'll treat them just like I was treated. I'll treat them nice. I'll help them out.
Not all here are expected to roll out the red carpet. Still, for China Hat resident Brooke Lamb, the move here will be a lesser of evils.
Living out like this you're very strong people. You have to be, and so we already know that. We already know anywhere that we move to, We have got to have, well, it's not just guard, but
Yeah.
we will be looked down on.
Zach Polton will not be relocating to Juniper Ridge, at least that's not the plan for today. His old yellow school bus is running, and he's tired of doing the same.
We're just looking for, our own little space. People out here, they've got their own little problems, and those don't just go away as you're pushed out of a space like this. It just ends up in neighborhoods next to schools and such. And
Zach says he has no interest in relocating just to get swept again. For now, he says a spot deeper in the Deschutes National Forest sounds appealing, somewhere that doesn't require breaking the law and doesn't result in pushing neighbors or law enforcement to the limit.
why work with us when you can work against
Portland
us?
School District, excuse me.
As of 12:01 a.m. Thursday, the Forest Service will move ahead with its Cabin Butte restoration project, the China Hat Road closure, and the forced removal of those living in the woods there. The Forest Service has already begun placing large dumpsters throughout the China Hat encampment area, telling me it also plans to hold an all-staff workday sometime in May for trash and debris removal in the areas where it plans to do commercial tree thinning. Given the amount of debris that will be left behind, that trash removal project is expected to continue through the entire summer and most of the fall. I'm David Clue, Central Oregon Daily News.